Okay, so I have Dylan here, and then I have the rest of you guys on Zoom. So thank you for all being here. Okay, so imagine that you were, laying in bed in the middle of the night and, the police come and, take you out of bed, throw you in the back of a car, no warrant, no nothing, and you're shipped off to El Salvador. That's exactly what happened in the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. I'm sure you guys have heard a lot about. And he was shipped off illegally, with no trial or anything. And I'll be talking to you about this whole case because for one, I am currently a permanent resident. I was immigrated here from Ireland when I was really young. And this isn't a case where it just affects immigrants, legal, illegal, but I believe that you're going to be setting a very dangerous precedent with what has gone on here, even if you're a U.S. citizen. Uh, so we're going to be talking about like why it was wrong, not only like morally, ethically, but also illegal to deport this man without due process. And so we'll be going over kind of like what due process is, what that means, kind of how we got here as a country, kind of some of the things we need to get over, and then talk about also some solutions and potential problems because again, this is not a straightforward issue, and the solutions are also not linear as well. So, to kind of give you a little bit of background, Kilmar Rayo Garcia was an immigrant from El Salvador. He was currently on a withholding status of to do not deport. That was granted by an immigration judge. He went through an immigration court, and they gave him his status because he was able to prove through a CNN that he was able to prove that he had a direct danger if he went back to his home country of El Salvador. And so now the way the immigration system works is like if you're trying to deport someone, you have to go before an immigration judge, which is like a special judge, and you have to prove your case, or the government has to prove their case of why this person should be deported. So in this country, we are afforded the right of due process. And no one, you can't be thrown in jail and you can't be, kicked out of the country just because someone doesn't like you. And part of the reason that they say he needs to be deported was that he was MS-13 gang member. Again, never convicted of this. This is just an alleged. And so whether or not he was actually MS-13 gang member is completely irrelevant. He was never even given his day in court, and by the Constitution, the Fifth Amendment, which is grants us the right of due process of life and liberty, is the Fifth Amendment on the federal level. The 14th Amendment provides you due process at the state level. So this is all kind of you can maybe say to yourself that oh, this is only happening to immigrants. Why do I need to worry about it? Well, it's because even since then, the government now has been starting to apprehend people and put them in detention facilities and whatnot who are, student have student visas as well as permanent residents. And if you think, well, I'm none of those, I'm a U.S. citizen. Kids of who are U.S. citizens have also been deported with parents from illegal. So again, this is setting up a dangerous precedent of because if you are, an undesirable or somewhat an opponent of the government, that they can just kind of do whatever they want and skip the whole legal part of this country, which is kind of, the bedrock of what this country is built on. So that's a lot to digest. And I understand you're like, oh, well, how do we kind of get there, right? And well, the government that is in the administration that's currently in place, they kind of tapped into people's fear and insecurities in the election, and they are trying to really centralize the power to one person. And in the U.S., we are a democracy. We have the executive branch, the legislative branch, and uh, judicial branch, and they all work together as checks and balances. So if someone being able to unilaterally say that, hey, this person needs to be removed without any sort of trial or process, that is a dictatorship. And that's not how we run things. And again, illegal, but again, this is part of the playbook to kind of try and get Mr. Abrego Garcia back. Is he's now in El Salvador, in another country, and the president currently is saying, yeah, he's a criminal, and we're not going to take him back. And again, that is setting up a dangerous precedent, because if you are setting up or you are disagreeing with the president, that he will be able to skip over all of the kind of the checks and balances that have been in place for this country for centuries. And I know, for one, that I'm very scared of like where this can go. So moving to, obviously we've talked about kind of like the barriers and like the kind of the history of it. So like, what are some things that we can do? Well, here, so I'm going to show you that the first one is to engage with our legislators. And the screen I just put up before you, those are our two U.S. state senators, Senator Padilla, Senator Schiff, because this is a process. This is, again, a federal issue. But to get to kind of make your voices heard, this is something we need to write to these people. And again, those are the kind of the contact information. Doing protests, making your voices heard, is something that, again, it's not open. You're not going to go to one protest. You're not going to write one letter. It's something that is going to take work and time and effort, and slowly chipping away. That this process or what's going on is not acceptable to us as a country. And we need to start, because if it gets to the point where U.S. citizens now are being thrown in jail and illegally put in jail without a court, it's going to be a dark time, and that it's going to be, I think, almost too late at that point. So with that, again, we kind of talked about the due process, Mr. Garcia's case. We talked about kind of the causes and barriers with the administration and where we're at, and then also kind of like how we can get involved. And so with that, I'd like to thank you for coming out today and listening to me speak. I really appreciate your guys' time, and that's it.